So I view this as the most important question I want to hear you guys answers to. What's this, to the extent there's a problem, which I guess is a little bit of a disagreement, but to the extent there is a problem that needs to be solved, what do you view as the solution? And if, Chris, if you want to start, what can be done for these creators? I think we've established that Nashville is a vibrant creative community. You made the point in the documentary. What can be done to help those songwriters and musicians out?
Well, I think the number one thing is we have to continue to support the creative community here, because this is one of the last turnarounds maybe for the creative community. I mean, I always heard when I first moved here in the 90s that Nashville was very much like LA was in the 70s. It's very creative, all kinds of great stuff going on. I think if we hold on to that and keep that spirit, we can keep the flame alive here in this town. But again, I mean, we can't look back because we're never going to be able to go back. We just got to look forward and try to figure out how we can sustain what we have and grow what we have.
Mine's a more specific answer to a specific issue for my constituency. And I think we all agree here. Mark and I we really shared some information a few years ago about a philosophical shift my organization went through at our board level and leadership, because Google's the enemy, this person's the enemy. They exist. We may have issues we need to work out, but we've got a dialogue. And we're in a new era. I am only talking for me, and one of the things we did as an organization, we've got a brand new staff over the past couple of years in programs and services and technology to help the band that could give a shit about the traditional music industry. But for songwriters who are not the artists, this is going to get a little complicated. I'm going to take a minute. Songwriters are under rules. They get two royalties essentially. For sales, whether it's a download or what CD sales are left, it's a mechanical royalty. And the word mechanical is because it governed player piano rolls in 1909, and those rules have not changed since then. The performance royalties, whether it's on broadcast radio, Pandora, Spotify, any streaming model, are essentially governed by two consent decrees that ASCAP and BMI are under from 1941. For the most part, record labels are not under those rules. You heard Taylor Swift pulled her product. You can agree or disagree. I don't think anybody would argue that's her choice. We cannot. We have to license those songs for rates government judges set. So what we're trying to do with the Justice Department and with Congress is let us determine our own future in the free marketplace. If we don't like 8 10,000ths of a penny that Spotify plays for one spin of the song, that songwriters have to divide between co-writers and publishers 4 ways, and we want to pull our product and we screw up, we should be able to do that in the marketplace. And if that leads to dialogue where we succeed, record labels, it's a little different depending on the service. They get 14 times what the songwriter gets. And one of the age-old arguments has been, what's the song worth and what is the artist's version of that song worth? Well, there's one place in the marketplace that's determined that for 80 years in film and television. We each get half. Now my argument's the song's worth 99% because you can't record anything if you don't have a song. But that's the kind of market leverage we have, and that's what we are trying to work for the old model of professional songwriting.
What was the question?
What are the solutions? And I was hoping you could talk about some of the stuff that you guys have going on that offers some of those solutions.
Well, so I mean, no, I won't talk about any of that because I mean, at the end of the day, the solutions are a great song connecting with an audience, right? And that's a lot of what you talk about. And
you know our motto.
I know your motto.
What is our motto?
I can't repeat it.
It all begins with a song. Mark did a calendar, and you did remember the all begins with a thong calendar?
Yeah, I do. It's available online, 2011.
We do love each other. I respect the hell out of this guy. Let me say one thing. I'm going to interrupt. This is where the solutions are going to come from. Not from the government, from the guys like Mark and Charles that meet with guys like us that figure out a new way to do this.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and so let me put a fine point on and chill just a minute. So today Google announced that they're bringing fiber to our market. Right? Screw Comcast. So yes, right? The most hated company in the world. Is this all being videotaped? Will this be all online? It's perfect. I'll be dead by morning. I think there's a fair amount of people who would think that I am a shill for Google, right? I am a big advocate for that company because in my mind, if you're not in business with Google, you're not in business. I mean, that's the reality. I don't care what end you want to argue it from. So we had a nice public performance. It was all lovely. And then at 3 o'clock, I got to spend some time with a couple of other folks with the guys that run that team. And I'll just tell you that I am not their yes man. And one of the conversations we had, so that was really in 3 frames. One was about the digital divide and about bringing low-income people onto the graph, right? Which is, I think everybody here would agree, probably be a good thing. And for the record, they're committed to that. And they're, as my grandpa used to say, watch their feet, not their mouth. And in this case, watch their checkbook, not their mouth. They're gonna spend north of $50 million in this city. No subsidies, no government help. They're writing the checks. They're putting it in, right? That's the end of it. That's it. And so to sit there and say, hey guys, your plumbing ain't worth shit without our stuff in it. And at some point, this has got to be more equitable. Because the reality is that they have now, when we think about, my goal is to eliminate as many middlemen as possible, right? And that's going to hurt some people, but some people need to go. That's the nutshell. And so for me, it's about connecting the creator to their audience with as few gates in the middle as possible. And that's the business that I'm in, right? Because I want to serve both ends of that. And that's all the people that really matter in that equation. So to me, the future of where we're going is Google's here, like it or not. So now, how do we engage them in a discussion about what our value is as a creative community, and how do we further those discussions faster? Because the tide's coming back in. For me, there's not a better time to be in the music business than right now. If you believe that music has power, and if you believe that music will continue to touch lives, it ain't going away, folks. And you can either put your head in the sand and hope and wish that we went back to the 80s, what we can remember of it, or you can think about where the puck is going and try to skate there.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing.
And I think it's easier to have those conversations on the same side of the fence as opposed to being diametrically opposed, most of my background is in education. So I think what's really important is not just this ability to create. We also have to be willing to educate and self-educate and innovate. And be prepared to be entrepreneurial. I think one of the most beautiful things about the time we live in is that it's really self-empowering. If you want to go out and start a video channel and put your own music out, like Jessica Freck there in the corner was hiding because she's shy, and have a career, you can do that. That wasn't an option 20 years ago, So I think the real answer is, if you've spent a lifetime being a songwriter because you've been told that your voice isn't good enough, your guitar playing isn't good enough to be a star, dump that. You are now the star. Because without you, there's no songs. So step up in front of the camera, right? Make a really simple video of you singing your own creation, put it up on YouTube. Who's gonna care if no one pays attention? But if someone does pay attention, now you've got a business. And that's how you need to think going forward. I think you need to think outside the box, no pun intended, and figure out in this new economy how you can have a place. Don't wait for someone else to tell you you have a place. You have a place, There's so much proof out there that you do. So I think that's where I would come from.
I think an odd place, again, not a music guy from any sort of background, and we obviously worked on a platform with the New Dillons and loved meeting them and working with them and seeing the passion they have for the music, and that's inspired us to keep building and keep doing great things. And what I would go with on this is the solution is, part of the solution is getting the music or the industry, to go back to this, to realize that they have to start accepting technology as and when it comes out. Like historically, there's been a very, very strong pushback to any new technology that comes down the pike, and all of a sudden they're behind the 8 ball.
It's been going on for 100 years.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the whole idea is if you want to start developing things to move value forward, you need to be on top of it, not behind it.
Well, at least not push it away.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the idea of the technology that comes to it, and going back to I think what everyone here is, we are existing in an age of unprecedented reach and technology that is in the hands of everyone in here. Every one of us has a device in our pocket that contains more technology and computing power than has made any music that you knew of growing up. The entire collection of all human history's music exists on your phone. And you have the capability to actually make music that is meaningful and matters to people on your phone. And that's powerful. The labels are rightly so scared for what that's going to be and how that's going to change things. And when we, as a collective, decide to start taking that and being able to say, I love music from some brand new, no-name person no one's ever heard of in Murfreesboro, and make that something that matters in Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic, excuse me, post-Cold War, right? And that's where it becomes that's where it becomes meaningful. Is that's where you can start doing it. We are global. We have a global reach, even if we're not necessarily a global economy. And music, to go back to the other point, music matters to people's hearts, and it matters to people's minds and souls, and what they're trying to do and what they're trying to get from the music is finding that connection.